universe depends on everything fitting together just right. If one piece busts, even the smallest piece, the entire universe will get busted.
This here is an aurochs, a fierce creature.
The star's coming! The star's coming!
Y'all better learn how to survive.
Millions of years from now, they're going to find the internet, and they'll know that once there was a place called Screened, and there was a Pupcast on it.
A screen puppy. A hush pup. A hush screen.
The screen hush puppies.
A screen hush.
What's going on?
Oh fuck, it's puppies and Hush Puppy and Pupcast. How did I not put those together into something?
It took about 30 seconds of me just saying the same word over and over and over again in a really dumb accent.
Hush Puppycast.
Yeah.
Whoa. Carry on.
Millions of years from now, they're gonna know there was a Hush Puppycast.
No,
What?
No.
Come on, man!
I'm calling an end to that one.
Fine.
Close up on a piece of shit.
Millions of years from now, they're going to know that Jackson died of a giant fist being put through his face. Alright.
Oh, snap.
Having to reach for the internet to punch Jackson.
It's fairly likely. In all honesty.
Millions of years from now, they're gonna find a way to have people punch each other through the internet.
Actually, the only thing that isn't likely is that millions of years from now, anyone will give a shit about my death.
Oh god, this is the most morbid intro to the most uplifting movie.
Not morbid.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not a... well, okay.
Alright, we're talking about Beast of the Southern Wild, and joining me is going to be Jackson, Mike, Michelle, and myself who have seen it, and Callum, who is just here. Alright. He'll be here to chime in the middle of the sentence to tell us about how good Pokemon was once.
No. I don't like Pokemon. That's Jackson.
I can't keep
Stop
it all
confusing
straight.
The British people.
I don't like Pokemon. I like Digimon. Excuse me.
Ooh, I like Beyblade.
I don't like Beyblade. I like the Beyblade theme tune. There is a very, very big difference.
Oh, Christ. Alright, let's get going.
Alright.
Yeah, don't open this can of worms. Be careful what you hath wrought.
Yeah, seriously, I don't even know why I made that joke. I knew it was leading to. But Beast of the Southern Wild, it is, it's every single year the Oscars nominate, like, one movie that, like, nobody was really expecting, and it makes you look at it and go, hey, good on you, Oscars, you're kind of cool. They didn't do that this year, but Beast of the Southern Wild is as close as we got to that this year. So, Beast of the Southern Wild, it's a movie about this little girl called Hush Puppy, and she lives in New Orleans. Was it New Orleans? Or
She lives in Louisiana, I think, but the name of the town is the Bathtub.
Yeah, but and it's in Louisiana. I can't remember the state. But yeah, and the Bathtub is like almost like this little tiny island sitting off the coast of Louisiana, and it ends up getting hit by this massive storm, and after that, like, the entire area is completely flooded, and it's basically kind of like a series of really chaotic events and really tragic stuff, but through the eye of a child. And in the background, you've got these giant beasts that have awakened and are slowly charging towards there, and, you've got various other things, but that's the premise. And I'm going to say it right now, I found this to be one of the most uplifting and touching films of the year for myself.
There were moments when I felt like that, and then I realised that it wasn't at all the film doing that. It was just the soundtrack.
The soundtrack.
I'll disagree on that, but
it was okay. I just didn't think it was all that great. But, yeah.
It's not like you hated it or anything.
No, I do not hate it at all.
Okay,
it's okay.
Okay, yeah, because we've already had too many of those arguments today. I've got to pull a Rubio and grab me some water off stage. Anyway. But yeah, so
current events.
But yeah, so Mike, what's your take on it?
I thought that this was a pretty good film. I mean, like you said, with it kind of, I don't want to say bothered me, but it was just a little weird intersplicing the events that Hush Puppy's going through with the Aurochs,
Aurochs.
I believe they call them.
I can agree with you that that is my one bit problem with this. I did not think they really sold the Aurochs as well as they should.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just completely it went over my head. The whole purpose of them, but it just kind of clearly they're building up to this moment, and it gets there, and again, there's no. It's just kind of there. It's like, hey, we did this, and that's kind of it.
I feel like it is a giant metaphor for something, and I believe that there's multiple different ways that you can take it, but it's not really strong enough. Like, I know somebody's going to come out and go, oh, well, you just didn't like it because it was too subtle. It's not that it was too subtle. It's that I don't really feel like, yeah, there's different ways you can read it. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's this idea of life and rebirth, or
Well, I always thought of it as kind of like Hush Puppy's maturity. Like, as she's going on this adventure, that's kind of the Aurochs coming in, but it's also her growing. So when it gets to kind of the end and it hits that moment at the end, that's kind of like Hush Puppy is now matured.
Yeah, I kind of got that same feeling too. So
yeah, but even looking at like that, I think it could have been done better like that. Like if that's what they were going for, I think it still could have been done a little bit better. But yeah, as I said, that's really my only fault with it. Like this is a film that none of the people in here are actual actors. Like they were just regular people who they asked to be in this. And I think each of them completely pulled it off, especially the dad. The dad just shocked me in this movie because, I don't know how common of a thing this is, but to anybody who has grown up in the South, that guy who's just screaming and constantly raising a ruckus and just constantly causing problems and just yelling and slapping tables and,
And then you have the Lincoln guy who's just trying to calm everybody. It's like, you gotta let... Well, I have interesting characters from the South, don't you?
Yeah, there's so many... Oh, you're referencing our last review.
Yes.
I was like, was there a guy named Lincoln? I remember the guy with the hat, and he was awesome. I love the guy with the hat. And I love the teacher there who was basically just, like, there's every supporting character in here is, like, you get a sense of who they are. But yeah, I love the dad in this because, yeah, that is that guy who you constantly see, and then you're like, you find out they have a kid, and you're like, how the fuck does he have a kid? I love that they painted this relationship in a way that went, oh, that's how he has a kid. It's like, I can see this guy being a dad now. Not a good dad, super flawed dad, but I can understand, like, this kind of a world now. So yeah, I absolutely love the characters in this, and especially Hush Puppy. I love the character of Hush Puppy, and I love watching this journey. I mean, that's what was so touching to me, is seeing that in the music. I totally agree. Music is amazing. But yeah, seeing Hush Puppy kind of go on this journey, like, that is one of my triggers. Like, seeing little kids struggle with things that are far beyond their grasp, and still somehow overcoming it and dealing with it. Like, that's one of my things I love seeing done well, but it so rarely is done well, and I absolutely love it in this film.
Jackson, you're strangely quiet for
yeah. There's no one. Yeah,
I don't hate it. I
know.
I actually like a lot of it. I love the dad. I don't love the dad. I think he's a great character and really well done. I appreciate how it portrays this weirdly hopeful, yes, horribly brutal world.
yeah.
But my biggest problem with it was it felt, not that it felt extremely episodic, because it kind of did, but that it felt like a series of episodes where everyone built up to the same point of this beast, like a story of growing up, and it was always the same. It was just like you're making the same point over and over and over and over again in loads of different little vignettes, which all added up to the same point that was made at the end of each of them about growing up. And I was like, I was a bit bored. It
was almost like
repeating itself.
So it was almost like they were all. This film was just a bunch of different chapters, with each chapter having the same arc.
Yes, exactly. That's basically my problem with it. And I liked a lot of the individual chapters. If it had ended about 20 minutes earlier, I don't know. Well, there's a point where it could end, and if it had ended there, I would have rated it a lot higher. But it just kept going on, and it did another thing, and then there was a trip on a boat to a strip joint, I think it was, or something, and there was more of that. And
in a weird way, that to me almost was like, this is almost like the Odyssey to me when they got on the boat. It's like, this is them going off to, like, you know, for anybody who read the Odyssey, you know, they would stop on those weird islands and just find, like, weird mysticism. That was kind of like how that felt to me. And yeah, it is kind of odd, like, almost like, that almost felt like it could have been the sequel to Beast of the Southern Wild, which, for God's sakes, don't make a sequel. It's good as it is. But it's like...
No, I would totally watch Beast of the Southern Wild. I don't know, Beast harder.
Beast got wilder.
Where she's the... where she's the queen of the Aurochs now.
No, she's the king. They never mentioned queen.
They what?
Remember, like, when, like, the dad is like, someday you're gonna be king of the bathtub, and she's like, I'm gonna be king. They never say queen.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
They never say queen.
Yeah.
And
that's another one of those little things that I really like, because you can tell the dad was one of those guys who's like, I'm gonna have a son. Yeah, my genes are gonna produce a son. And it's like, and he's one of those guys who the moment he has a girl is like, this is my son.
Well, I also like that they didn't make her so girly, that they made her a tomboy. Like,
Yeah.
in that kind of environment, you kind of have to be. So, like, there's like this one scene where she was in a dress, and that just really weirded me out. And it's like, oh damn, she's
Yeah, it's, oh god, I'm starting to tear up thinking about some of these scenes, because you reminded me of, like, her there in the house where she, like, I'm not gonna say what happens, but, like, she's cooking dinner and something happens. Man, little kids, you know, going on adventures of discovery, little kids in trouble, it's, once again, that's one of my triggers, and man, this one is nothing but that. This is one of those films that I'm so glad I did not see in theaters, because they would have asked me to leave. I was crying so hard at moments in this film. Weird revelation. Why isn't everything I've been saying throughout this review, it's always met by a weird pause? Like,
Because you don't end it on a place where we think we are waiting for you to continue your sentence, and then by the time you don't, it's already too late.
You know what? That's very true. It's weird. Normally we're all talking over each other. This is the one time we're being polite, and I'm just naturally assuming someone's going to cut me off.
Let everybody else of how I respond to you.
Yes, fair enough.
No, I just have the world's most ridiculous migraine right now.
Oh shit, man! Sorry. Yeah. Well, anybody else have any problems with the film? I know I've been talking so positively about it, but
So you did mention the problem with that the Oryx weren't, like, mentioned enough or, like, shown enough. It's like, you think that has to do with the budget? Because it is an indie film.
yeah, this is. I'm amazed they got those Aurochs for the budget they had. This is
Okay, fun fact: they used tiny pigs and put little. They put basically costumes on these tiny pigs.
Aw,
that is
And-
awesome.
that's adorable.
That's how they got them to look so big.
That's
they just filmed them on a
awesome.
small screen. Yeah.
Waddles.
Oh.
So yeah, it was kind of cute. Because I was reading reading the Game of Thrones, they mentioned those a lot, and they're supposed to be cows, but they made them pig like, and I was reading something on Wikipedia. I don't really remember the whole thing, but why they were changing, why they decided to use pigs instead of cows. I don't know. It was just kind of interesting.
It worked for me. I think that, I mean, granted, Aurochs,
Oh, yeah.
like actual Aurochs are like ox things, so, but
Right.
yeah, these creatures are clearly meant to be a mythical thing. But yeah, to me, this gave me a lot of feelings, almost of like a live-action Studio Ghibli film at moments, in which it's the little girl on a magical adventure. But I mean, it hit a lot of the same notes to me, but in a weird way, it was more effective than most Studio Ghibli films are, because those films are a lot about like spirituality and what does this mean, what does that mean. This to me was more of just a character study. It's one of my favorite character studies of the year. But yeah, aside from like the soundtrack, Jackson, what else did you enjoy about the film?
I thought the two main performances were great. I like the scene, I think after the first blood, just where all the few remaining people all came together in the house.
Yeah, that was so good.
That was a great scene. I liked a lot of it, but just
I understand. It's like I didn't notice where your problem with it. I didn't notice when I watched, but if I go back and watch it again, that may be something that I notice now. But yeah, I love. Like I said, it's got such a great supporting cast, and yeah, that scene in which they all come together there. that was a film in which it really started hitting me.
And the moment where he tries to teach her to use a knife and fork, and the dad is just like, "Oh fuck that."
Yeah, the dad is just like, "No, it's my way." Once again, another great dad moment. That and when the dad was preparing for the storm, and he puts her in a little metal boat and says, "All right, I cut a hole in the roof, so if it floods, we'll float out of here." I was like, that is totally what those kind of guys think. They had to have, like, just been going down to a bar where one of these guys hung out all day long and just writing down the shit he said. It's the best I've ever seen a guy like that captured on film. But yeah, so let's go into our reviews. What's everybody, Mike, what do you think of it?
I'd give it I guess a B+. I mean, there were things about it that were pretty enjoyable, but yeah, I think just the overall, I don't know. I guess maybe it's just over my head. I just didn't get it. I don't know.
All right, Jackson.
Probably a C+. I liked a lot of it. It just dragged a bit. I am over the moon that A is being nominated for Oscars and B that it exists at all, because the reasons I don't like it are tastes and opinions with its pacing. But it's like I'm glad that films like this get made and get seen.
Yeah.
Because it makes me very happy.
Yeah, exactly. We need more attention to films like this, and like films that just come from backgrounds like this, of very low budget and done by outside the theater. So I mean, studio system. Michelle,
I give it an A-.
A-? All right. I give it an A+.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
Shit.
Yeah.
Just got real.
I knew you would.
This to me, once again, this is one of those reasons I said we need like a verbal thing, because just me saying A+, like, you know what? Bestie. That's what I was going to have that be our A rating. No, that is our beyond A rating. Bestie. I'm giving it a bestie. It was just, listen, like I said, I fully understand that this was just pushing a lot of my personal buttons. I've had films that try to push my personal buttons and fail. This was doing it and 100% hitting it every single time. Like I said, the only thing I really kind of had a problem with was I think the Aurochs weren't handled that well, but I still enjoyed it. Like, I still thought it was a good element of the film. So when my biggest complaint about a movie is something I still like, I gotta give it a bestie, man. I'm giving it that score. So, all right, if you guys will excuse me, that review brought back some memories, and I gotta go get a tissue right now.
See that I'm a little piece of a big, big universe.
You're gonna be the king of bad talk. I promise that.
In a million years, when kids go to school, they're gonna know. Once there was a hush puppy, and she lived with her daddy in the bathtub.